Hello, I'm Rupert Turton, and welcome to the Business Spotlight interview, where we talk to local business owners about their journey. This week, I'm joined by Sam Sayer, who's creative director at DeType in Kettering, a digital marketing agency. Sam, welcome.
Nice to meet you, Rupert.
Sure. No, actually, I'd like to know a bit about your business and what you do, but I have to say, the first question I'm going to ask you is why you chose DeType as the name for your agency.
Good question. Good question. This is a family history thing, really. My grandfather designed the C-Type, D-Type, and E-Type Jaguars, which were phenomenally successful for Jaguar back in the 50s and 60s. And really, I did study 3D design at college. It wasn't for me. I was more into graphics. But really, the concept of form and function is really what sticks true to me. So he was chiefly, my grandfather was chiefly an aerodynamicist. So that helped, that shaped the cars, but also meant they were efficient. So and that's something we very much translate into what we do. It's got to look great, but it's got to function as well. Design is that perfect harmony, of form and function. So yeah, it kind of made sense to have a little nod to that. But D-Type's kind of contraction of design type. That was the idea anyway.
Yeah, no, and what a great bit of history.
It is, yeah.
That's definitely a story you need to be retelling a lot.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you do at DeType?
So primarily it's web design. My background is branding and advertising. I worked around a lot of agencies in the West Midlands for a number of years. Picked up clients on the way, and then ultimately set up on my own just over 10 years ago. So we're just coming to our 11th year now. And really, as part of a branding process, we'd look, obviously, aside from the logos and creative platform around that, we'd always do web visuals. And more, that was a thing rather than doing the stationery, although that's still done to some degree. And really, web is probably about 90% of our business now. So it's also going that direction. Yeah.
And what's your biggest learning then, since you've been a business owner?
Biggest learning as a business owner is a good question. That you can't do it all. You have to wear many hats. You know, it starts off just me. There's a team of 7 of us now. And I think, the biggest thing is knowing when to let go of things. Building sort of trust in your team and passing tasks and responsibilities over, but also, working with experts who do the bits that you can't. I think that's the biggest thing. When you start out, you try and do everything yourself, and you have to do everything yourself. You've got limited budget or rest of it. But yeah, learning to work with the specialists that you don't do is vital. It means you can concentrate on what you're best at. I think that's the number one thing.
Yeah, great idea. Great point. Actually, play to your strengths and don't. If it's something that just doesn't work for you, I would suggest don't struggle to make it happen.
Absolutely, move on. Yeah.
What's your top tips for effective delegation to your team then?
Top tips is, I guess, if it's taken you 10 minutes to understand it and you still don't, pass it on. Ask someone who will have more knowledge in that area. But I think the other thing is providing solutions, not problems. So I wasn't sure what to do with this. I think you could do this or could do that. Great. That's a good start of right. Well, let's look at what's going to be best for that solution. I suppose learning and failing quickly.
Yep.
It all ties into that, really. Can you answer it yourself? If you can't, have you got any suggestions of what it could be?
Yeah.
And moving on, not dwelling on too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you've done 11 years. What are your aspirations for the company in the next 11 years?
Something I've been looking at very recently in my sort of January goal setting. At one time, it was to really grow the team and have a bigger business in terms of bodies. But really, it's about working with more and more with clients that we love working with. I mean, we love working with all our clients. Currently, but it's moving into spaces. I think we work very well with property agents. We work very well with specialist consultants. And trade. So there's sort of three angles there. The specialist consultants are good because they're often very niche, very unique. While we understand a lot of business sectors, those are the intriguing ones. Those are the ones we can have the most creative freedom with as well. So ultimately, sort of doing more projects, growing the team a little bit more, but pushing on for those really unique clients, really.
Yeah. So it sounds like selective growth as opposed to just growth for the hell of it.
Absolutely. We'd really thought a lot, especially in lockdown as well. What are we doing it for? What do we love doing? And boiling down to that, really, we always provide a service, but it's got to be something that's meaningful for both you and the client. I think that's much more important.
Yeah, and actually an interesting evolution in your business as well. So you're obviously getting to or at the stage now where you can choose who you work with to find the clients who are the best fit for you and the business, as opposed to, I suppose, in the early stages where you've got to almost take any client that comes along.
Absolutely, and it's a very privileged position to get into. So it's a long path to get there. But yeah, certainly it makes for a much more meaningful business relationship in that sense, I think.
Yeah, and then about your team. So, what have been your biggest learnings as an employer since you started?
Okay, so no, the biggest challenge, I suppose, and learning is knowing when to let people figure out and knowing when to step in. That's a big one. I think that's the key, really. If you're hand holding all the time, you're not leaving room for growth and discovery. And discovery is a huge part of what we do. Yeah, I think that maybe a bit of a broad answer, but I think that's the number one for me. Yeah.
So, what's been your biggest learning about yourself during the journey then?
Resilience. In the creative industry, I learned quite early on actually not to be too precious about what we did. It's very subjective, and really, the thing I learned luckily quite early on was to be able to substantiate everything. If you can rationalize what you're doing and explain it, then you can push forward with it. I think that's the thing, as a creative but a business owner, they're kind of almost they're pulling completely different directions all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's managing to put yourself in the middle of that. I think that's what I've learned sort of most is you can have a foot in each side, but making sure the tightrope's not wobbling too much and you can keep level.
Yeah. So what are the biggest challenges running a digital agency at the moment?
Big challenges. The dawn of AI. I say dawn, it's been around for a long time, a lot longer behind the scenes than a lot think. I think really the challenge for many agencies is really being the experts in their field. AI can do a lot. There's tools like Canva come along in recent years. We switched to doing Canva templates for clients rather than designing graphics a lot of the time because it's more valuable for the client that way. I think pushing really original content and creative, and just using tools for your own good. AI copywriting, for example, is a very hot topic, as is AI art. There's a lot of uproar about that, but using it to your advantage. Don't sleep on it and get involved and use it to help you. I think is the main thing.
How do you think that's going to shape the direction of D-Type in the next few years then?
Well, content's something we've been building on a lot, especially over the last 12 months. And I think be able to use certainly AI tools to help produce basics. We always write original stuff around it. In fact, we've only just started to experimenting with the copywriting side of things. But yeah, it's embracing it early. We've seen a lot of changes in software along the last few years. It's making sure you're exploring the new things, not getting left behind. I think we've adapted quite well to that. We've moved on to sort of bigger and better tools, looked at efficiencies. A lot of it is about coming down to efficiencies, right? Can you find something that's going to help you get 20%, 50% of the way and move on from there?
Yeah. Okay. So let's switch tack slightly. Let's talk a little bit more about about you. So obviously with a great heritage. But so who's the first person that comes to mind when you think about success?
Yeah, Steve Jobs is always the one. I've got an Apple computer in front of me, I suppose, and I'm I'm very plugged into that world. Although he is the one who comes to mind, it was the partnership of him and the other Steve in Apple that really made the success. So I think that's the thing. You have figureheads, and then you have a lot of people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting question. I understand Steve Jobs was a bit of a hard person to work for, but ultimately he pushed real change. And I think more than anything, I mean, obviously they were, still are a very profitable business. They were pushing what the consumer wanted or didn't know they wanted yet. And I think that's a very, very clever thing.
Yeah.
They've revolutionized the way we consume music, gadgets, just phenomenal things. And I think, a lot of it was done with obviously huge passion, but it really boiled down to the consumer. And I think there's a lot of people who do things for glory or for, look, I did this first, I did that. But it does seem to be a lot of it was born from passion and a need to solve. I think that's what's made him stand out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because actually, if you look at Apple, nothing that they did wasn't being done elsewhere from a technology point of view. It was their implementation that made the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I suppose they were into Simon Sinek's Start With Why, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, that's another person that I think is high up on that list. Yeah.
Right. Sounds like you might have a few people that you think of.
Yes, I've committed myself the last few years. I do a lot of walking. I try and break my day up. Going for a walk helps me sort of settle my creative brain and figure things out. But I listen to a lot of podcasts. You never stop learning. These are the people who come up regularly, I suppose. So yeah, always much to learn from.
Oh yes, never stop learning. There's so much out there to pick up. Just trying to keep up, I suppose, as well.
Yeah.
So if you started your business again, what would you do differently?
I would have absolute clarity on our services. I mean, I started off doing anything for anyone, for any reason, which, early days you do to sort of, get the clients through the door. But I think really focusing on what your strengths are is absolutely key in building on that. A lot of agencies, I think, will, they'll say they do it all. They do some things very well and they've kind of bolt the rest on. I've very much now scaled back and built partners around us. So, we can offer a full service, but we partner and we're quite transparent in how we do that. So I think, it's like I said earlier, instead of trying to wear all the hats, it's, wearing the hat that's most comfortable for you. And working with other people to help build the success around that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Excellent. So, Sam, it's been great talking to you. Really appreciate your time today. So, if anyone wants to talk to you or engage with DeType, what should they do?
Best thing, if you head to our website, DeType.com, DeType.com, or if you search for me on LinkedIn, I'll be great to connect on there. I'll be doing a lot more on there. I that fell by the wayside a little bit in the last couple of years, but I'm being more active on there. I'm really enjoying the community on there.
Okay, and I'll include those details in the description that goes out with the video.
Brilliant, yeah, please do. Yeah.
So, Sam, thanks for your time today. Great to hear about you and what's happening inside DeType. I'll talk to you soon.
Excellent. Thanks, Rupert. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.